I was going to leave a group with, and then I left them at home today. The nonviolent communication group. So what do we do with you when we did it with you?
I don't remember.
So usually nonviolent communication, it would work if there's two of you guys. We pick out feelings and needs, talk about an unmet need, and then what feeling we'll do it Wednesday. I pulled it out because I was going to actually see if my wife wanted to try to use it to learn how to talk to each other in, polite, nice fashion.
Yeah.
So. Who's on there? Somebody's on there. Maybe it's my wife. Hello. Oh, they left. All right. So, where did we put that? It was in announcements, wasn't it? I'm going so blind.
So I was looking at the syllabus. So do we have to type this up and turn it in?
If you led the group and had like a PowerPoint, most people just give they use a PowerPoint as their note card, so they just give a PowerPoint.
Okay, so my plan.
That's the lazy way.
My plan was to, cause I got everything. I got the opening ritual, the theme introduction.
We can talk to everybody.
And then what's up, yeah. But I got the check-in, and then for my activity, I was wondering do you know what Kahoot is?
I do know what Kahoot is.
Cause I was gonna do that was gonna be my activity, facts and myths about sex. And I was like, I should do a Kahoot game and fact or myth, and then have people pick, and then do the reflection questions and the sharing of the activity afterwards, and then the close ritual stuff.
It almost fits in with some of the girl service stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because one of them is girlfriends, or girl fights. Everyone's what was your opening ritual?
I'm doing a quote.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, for sure. So we want to practice before you practice.
Yeah.
That's the catch. You practice before you practice. Practice again.
I'm starting with a quote, and then I'm ending with another quote.
Okay.
The quote I'm starting with. It says, when it comes to getting down, I look at sex like food, and sensuality is its flavor. Like food, sex can be satiating. It feeds your hunger and nourishes our body. You might even argue that we need it to live. But if you think about it, making food delicious enough to eat and crave-worthy relies on flavor. Flavor is unique to the chef preparing the food and then interpreted by the palate of the taster. A food's flavor and thus sensuality can be simple, or it can be sweet or spicy, or it can open up a variety of senses. Everyone is his or her own chef with diners who crave their dishes.
Did you run this by him?
No.
Yeah, she did.
Calm down. I'll send to you when you got dinner practice. I'll send you my lesson plan, man. That's the only reason why you came in.
Yeah, I'm not getting class. I just have to come see you. How's James doing?
So, guess what happened today?
What?
Did I show you guys? Do get some insurance. Look.
Is that his social? I probably could use that.
Right?
Yeah.
Get some internet. Get some free internet. That's what everybody always says. I'm like, how can you use a social of a newborn? They're like, oh, you can.
My boy's birth certificate came.
Yes. So he has insurance, but she was reading her quote on the group she's going to lead next week. Dang, you're like a week and a half ahead of time.
Yeah. And I was and I literally sat down and did this. I had desk duty this weekend.
You're
so
like,
I'm
doing it.
Yeah, I'm like, I just want to
Okay.
get this done because I got to work on Beyonce's paper because that's due the 16th. And I present on the 15th. So I'm
You're
like,
getting it all done before spring break.
Presenting.
huh?
We got to present.
In group
No,
too.
I'm
In
in
groups.
this
Oh, I was about to say, not me.
In practice too.
All right, I see.
And I'm sending out an email the day before, the night before, and I'm sending out an email the day before I present, and
To
that
bring
morning,
somebody?
yeah, I'm gonna say can y'all
Come to
please come to
class.
class
You
today?
hear that? Anybody? Nobody's on.
Can y'all please come to class today so that my stuff can go over
So-
very
I have a real question. How are the other classes? Is
Like-
it just because I'm too flexible and like
Yes.
you can watch it?
It is, because
So-
Miss Nikita's class, we only have like 9 people and everybody comes.
That's fair, though. You do have to at least make it somebody.
Like, you gotta at least make like 2 days out the week.
How about
that-
yeah,
Right.
today, like at least Monday and Wednesday, but Friday,
Right.
alright.
True. So Nikita's is once a week.
No.
Hers
2 days.
is 3 days a week.
Yeah,
Is
how about
practice one or
Mhm.
She
practice?
told me that
Practice
she told me it
one.
was gonna change. She told me it was gonna change. She said it wasn't gonna do like 3 hours one time. a week.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
rather do that.
You'd rather do three,
Yeah,
one.
she
It's
talked
only
the whole
2.5 that way.
That's the only thing though. She talked the whole time.
She does take the whole time. I try not to, but then I always end up doing it just because we're like
We
slow.
watch videos. We didn't watch videos in her class.
Okay. I like.
Sorry.
Do you know everybody who's in the class? Do you guys?
No, I know some people. I know Davion, I know Blake.
True.
That's the only two.
And
How
don't
about
think
then the old girl that be right here?
yeah, and Farrah.
So you can at least get half of them to come.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder where.
Oh,
Actually, it looks like if you were to go based off of this, it looks like we've got half a pass rate.
Yeah.
Pass rate is half. 2 or 3.
It's about to be a little bit.
Once he turns into this. But yeah, so it is very possible. So maybe they all caught COVID and they're just out. They're in like a breathing machine and like,
They watching YouTube live.
yeah. So that's the hard part because this is how I was always taught in college, but I forget that like you will have half the people fail out.
Yeah. But it's up to them whether they want to come to class or
It
not and be
is.
engaged.
It is, and that's kind of what I'm trying to build.
Because honestly, I wouldn't understand how I would be able to pass the licensure if I'm not coming to class and learning the stuff that I'm learning.
True. Well, Nikita's going hard on practicing for that too, which would be awesome. I gave her the manual that's a practice manual, and she'll have you all take the quizzes in that next room over. Have you seen it yet? It's got like the mirrored window. You seen the room with the mirrored window? So she could like watch you while you're taking the test.
I'm weak.
Because she wants you to practice for real, like as if you're taking an SAT. Did you have to take the SAT?
I took the
In high
ACT.
school,
Yeah. Do they do that? They like watch you. You can't cheat.
Yeah.
we definitely was in a class with like 50, 60 people.
Uh
I was in a big ass
I was
gym.
about to say, yeah, like I was in a class with 50, 60 people,
huh. Okay.
but everybody got different tests.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, they didn't cheat anyway.
I broke down and got one of these because they're still at a few hundred. So I could have 2 lightweight computers. I'm sick of carrying heavy computers. I'm getting too old for it. So I have 2. They feel like it's like the same weight as this thing. And they sell them on Amazon. You can buy excellent condition for $450 or okay condition for $300. This has a dent right here. That's why it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. It works just fine. So that way, we are live. You guys have access to Girl Circle through this Dropbox, right? I guess it just downloads. What's your second thing then after you do that? If you want to
The opening ritual.
go over that, yes, if you want to.
So my theme introduction is basically saying what we're gonna be doing.
Okay.
Today's group will be on sexual health. As college students, it is important that we keep up with our sexual health. Sex education should not stop in high school. It should be a priority for the rest of our lives. Acknowledging it is the best way to keep us healthy. For the rest of our time here today, we will be doing an activity on the facts and myths that surround sex. Then we will have a discussion about the activity. This is a safe space, so please feel free to speak openly about how you feel. The only thing I ask is if you feel moved to speak, please raise your hand. We will be using a condom as our speaking piece. Only the person with the talking condom should be
A
speaking.
closed one.
Yes, a closed one.
You're gonna unwrap it like
I wanted to do something like,
put it on somebody's head.
enough.
I want to do something. I mean, exactly. That's the point of my group, to not bring shame to
Mhm.
sex.
Who shames sex?
Okay.
Huh?
Who shames sex?
Then you shouldn't feel weird about
He's
holding
going to
a
put the condom on his massager. Like,
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just gonna have a little condom, and that's what you're gonna use if you want to speak.
Okay.
That's my next one.
You for real just created it all from scratch.
Mhm.
A lot of people are like me, where we have no creativity. You go online, you find some crap, and that's what you put out there. That's how I would do it. So I do commend this. That's pretty
It's like when you're passionate about something, it's easy.
True, yeah. So like a safe sex group, sex for mental health. Dr. Hunt speaks of it as a important piece that some people use food, some people use sex, and some people use drugs. And
Yeah.
if you do it in a safe way, which was an interesting way to think about. I didn't even think about that with sex. She's like, that's why we give them all condoms. I'm like, because I was brought up like super Catholic, and you like find the one, and you only have one at a time.
And see, what really got me thinking about like sexual health and safe sex and like sex being used for pleasure instead of like a distraction and stuff like that. Like when we went to UC and we was talking to Miss Ebony, like she was like, you guys deserve to advocate for yourself. You deserve. She was just basically naming all the things that we deserve, and then like she was like, you guys deserve to have safe, pleasurable sex. And
She's like a
started
reverend
laughing.
too.
Yeah.
She's a reverend.
And she was like, everyone was laughing. She was like, no, I'm serious. Sex is for pleasure, and you guys
were
should.
like,
You guys deserve to have safe sex.
Having sex, that sex something wrong with
Yeah.
you. Like,
so that's some of the. Wait, what is he doing? Charter Day? Y'all going to Charter Day?
Mm-mm.
We gotta dress up in our clown suit. You know that, don't we? You ever
Say
seen
what?
us? We wear our clown suits. You seen the clown suits we have to put on for graduation?
Oh yeah, the robes and stuff.
The hat and then the
Yeah.
hood, and then students are supposed to put 20s in the hood.
Like
That's the history of it. Like, look it up. That's
Are you
what somebody
serious?
said.
Like 20s.
Tiona and Bianca's here. Yeah, 20s, and nowadays probably hundreds, because $20 doesn't get you anything. But no, I mean, that was the history. Obviously, we have ethics now, and we don't do that. But that's
I was
what.
saying, so what they talk about?
That's Charter Day tomorrow.
Okay, so like it's fast
So
food.
probably all classes, if you have a class at that time, is going to be canceled.
Mm,
I don't know if that-
But I feel like nobody has class at that time.
no, I got class at 8 o'clock.
At 2,
So you
bro.
will have class
2
then.
and 5:45.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yes.
Crazy.
You heard them calling you out today? Like, we need everybody in the class,
And I
like,
did
for real.
just say that.
Because we're leading groups this month, and then your big final paper next month. And you can do them simultaneously, too.
So that's our final paper. That's our last assignment after the leader group.
Correct.
Okay.
Doesn't it seem like
I'm gonna need
too
a more.
easy?
No, I'm
You
gonna
seen the
need a
outline?
more breakdown. Yeah, when I was looking at the syllabus, I'm like, I don't understand this. I'm gonna need to.
So if you follow this right on, does it say a syllabus? It's like right here. Where is the syllabus? You guys.
Right there,
Ah,
up to.
there's so many documents, it's hard to keep track of. You all registered?
Not yet.
Today's the day. I guess it starts today. All right, so if you do follow the exact syllabus, so 3 major assignments, obviously. Observing the group, that was last month. Leading a group, that is this month. These are all the pages in the book and the PowerPoints I'm taking from. And then when you lead the group, you can write about your creation of a group. Actually, that's assignment 1. So you fill in that sheet, turn it in. AA meeting, if you haven't gotten a chance to do it, you can observe an AA meeting and fill this out. Or if you get permission to see a mental health group, that would be even more awesome. Then,
So can I do that like when he or
observing hers. That would, I never thought about that. Ideally, you're observing, like something that's been going on for a minute or two. Even AA was pushing it. You know, that
sex has been going on for years.
right. But even AA was pushing it because during the pandemic, I needed to come up with something quick and fast, creative to say you can watch this online. Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon family groups have been going on since 1939 and 1952. Yeah, sex has been going on since BC, but ideally it's an established group that somebody like bills for or has a description online. So ideally observe the AA or Al-Anon if you can. Or go to, do you guys know anybody doing their internships yet? Like at Dr. Hunt's.
Nobody's here.
She said on Friday she leads a hula hoop group.
Since when?
What?
Hula hoops on Friday at a certain time. And it's called movement therapy. And it's over behind her place where you used to get COVID testing. Remember that?
Yeah. That's the annex building.
So I would say that's pushing it, but that is, what time is it tomorrow? Oh, 10 a.m. tomorrow? Do you guys have charter day at 10 a.m.? I don't even know. It's probably 9 or 10 a.m.
I don't have no classes past
I ain't got that time. I ain't got no budget that time either.
Right.
I'm not going to charge.
So if you really want to observe on a Dr. Hunt's group, just go fill out that sheet. I know it asks a lot of questions in relation to like what you would read in the book, so you kind of got to read the book to figure it out. And then sometimes people read fast and sometimes people read slow. I get it. And then here's your final paper. So your questions, this tells you like for real, like every single part you need. That's one paragraph. So you got your title, you do an APA. And this is you conceptualizing the group, which you kind of did right here. So now you're going to write a big old paper about how you conceptualized it.
So I'm writing a paper about the group that I led.
You can. If you want to do a totally different one, like this is Proposal for a Support Group for Elderly Women Experiencing Grief Over Significant Loss. That's what that group is called. And then it tells you the first paragraph. Concerns or themes of the client population, the group selected for the proposal. It draws attention to the overall purpose of the group and then mentions what you accomplish. Then you cover your scope. That could also be one paragraph. See, we make it easy for you. One paragraph, one.
But it say it needs to be like 8 pages.
Right. Now, double spaced. I mean, look how many there are. This one's 3 to 8 paragraphs. So that's your psychosocial concerns or themes, like why is this a concern? What is the problem? What is the need for it? This is also 1 or 2 paragraphs. And a paragraph could be a whole page, but it's up to you how big you do your paragraphs. So the next is significant psychosocial themes or concerns, like maybe in relation to your group, unsafe sex or the spread of disease and stats on that, and lots of different statistics. Past group treatment interventions, which I'm sure they've got some for yours. So you can use the one you led, or you can do a totally different group.
I'm probably going to do it a paragraph at a time and
Yeah,
talk to you about it.
right. That's how you write the paper. And then you can also add a grant in there. There might be funding for.
Probably won't do it at a time.
No,
Right.
but, well, I'm saying like each part at a time.
Correct.
Okay.
Have you gone to grants.gov?
Nope.
So they might have something for safe sex. Let's see here. Let's see. Safe
That's what my group's about.
sex groups.
I think it's website like grants.
My blind ass.
It says something about HIV services for
There you go.
kids and young people.
So would that be fitting, do you think?
Yeah.
You want 100,000 and you write this up and you. What's the zero crap? It usually says $1 million right there.
Well, I'm not making any money.
Right? That's kind of crazy. Well, usually, so there's the 3
I just thought about some crazy stuff, bro.
about the money.
Yeah,
Like to apply for this, you mean?
this is crazy.
Let's find one that actually has money. That does look good, but let's try to find Serbia. Where's Serbia?
I don't know.
But isn't this a USA grant? And you're, okay.
It's probably a city.
I don't know. That sounds like a country.
That's, bro.
Yeah, I think it's a country.
No.
Enhancing comprehensive community-based and sustainable aids key population. Damn.
Maybe they're all expired. Is it? Well, it says March 27. Posting date, last update. That is weird. I wonder if.
Bro, Serbia is in Europe.
Is it? That's why it's kind of weird. Why would we be spending $1 million? I guess it's U.S. Armed Forces over there. Safe, non-invasive, real-time assessment of placenta development and function across pregnancy. You want that, or you want it before it gets to the pregnancy level? Okay. So you see, there's 45 pages of this.
Wait, go back right quick.
Did you see one?
I think I did.
One.
No, never mind. I thought I was looking at post-secondary education, but that has nothing to do with sex.
I always like to make it a real thing you could apply for. Is if you could win this money and create a group at like the Women's Domestic Violence Shelter or one of those, you could have your job right before you graduate college. Because you got it funded by one of your papers. Oncology, that's more cancer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Domestic victims of human trafficking services and outreach. That's taking sex to a whole nother level than you're talking about. Okay. Well, of course, then there's $1.5 million for that one, or $300,000 or $250,000. Anybody want to get paid? They're like, nope. Safe, non-invasive. That was the other one we saw. Drinking water. AIDS relief. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
Let's see if there's money. Hey, you get $10,000 for this if you applied for that and you wanted to lead this group here at Central State or during your tenure here. The minimum you would get is $3,000. The maximum would be $10,000. Then they have like all this stuff you have to do. Is it already closed? Don't tell me it's already closed. No. Well, it looks like it is due on April 10th. And so just to give you an example of what that would look like, and like you could add this as a citation in your paper, like when applying for this, here's how we did it. And then like what people do to apply. Ambassador Self-Help Fund. Does it let you share on Facebook? What? Look, it does. Anybody want to apply for $10,000? So there you go. Limits are once proposal per organization. So maybe it would be like through Central State University, and you add that in the paper. Can't commingle it with funds from other donors. And funding is competitive and not guaranteed. Well, yes, $3,000. I would hope it's competitive. All citizens, of Malawi representing a civilian. So is this another one for another country?
That sounds like an African country.
Yeah, I wondered why it was so low though. That amount of money would go very far in another country.
Yeah.
But in the US, you're used to $100,000 to pay salary. So anyway, just to give you an example of like what you look through. National Network of Sexually Transmitted Diseases, Clinical Prevention Program Supplement.
That sounds perfect.
That looks more like an American grant right there.
Yeah.
And then, just it kind of walks you through what it would look like to apply. And it's all on grants.gov.
That's why it's for the CDC.
Isn't that crazy? So due on April 3rd. It's so fast. All of them are so fast. And they give you the award by May. The day you graduate, May 15th. You get your money, $250,000. It is crazy how grants work, though. So anyway, yes, that would be another piece that you guys cover. Then the next section is like your benefits of group work and type of group proposed. This one is, well, they already said it at the top. Then the purpose of your group. Then you have group goals. So that's sometimes where it gets a little harder. Part 2 is where you implement it. So when you lead it, you've already implemented it. It's just, again, writing it up. 2 paragraphs. Name the agency where it would be. You could say it's at Central State University. So you see where I say work on this paper for like 8 weeks because
It's just
if you try an all-nighter, I'm sure people do it all the time, but you'll have a better formulated paper if you start working on it.
I'll probably work on that over break. I'm not doing
I
anything.
probably get it over quick or something.
If we get done with it early, can
When
you
is it
revise
due?
it? Sure. This one is due as your final, so I would say like May 1st. That way it doesn't interfere with any of your other exams and stuff. So yeah, if you got it done, you can revise it. I bet grades are due on the 10th or 12th again. So I try to keep that no stress idea. It's no stress if you're jumping on it early. It's stressful when you're like, oh, I got to do all 5 papers due tomorrow at midnight.
Right.
I've done that before too.
I just wrote out all my stuff that's due. And honestly, not because I just
looks
got
okay.
done taking. I just got done taking my 2 A-term classes for like my criminal justice minor.
So you only have like
I only
3,
have my in-person classes
4
now,
classes.
and
yeah.
now, well, it's only 3.
Wow.
And so now, all my stuff is pretty
Practice 1, 2, and 3.
human behavior, and then general practice 1 and 2.
Okay.
So
So-
I'm pretty much done with most of this stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Is really by the end of next month, you could be done with everything you need to be done with. If you want to. That way it's not all stressful and it's like a nice day of spring and everybody's having fun. So here's the second half of your paper. This is why it is 8 pages, because you got a couple paragraphs there, a few paragraphs here, another few. And it's ideal membership, like who would be, could be college students, could be Central State University, college students at a HBCU. Here's the grant we apply for. Plan for membership recruitment, like it could be signs like, do you like sex? You know, something like that. Something catchy.
Yeah.
Maybe you get in trouble from the provost if you put that up. But I don't know. Do they police what you guys put up for like billboards and stuff?
Like on campus.
I'm sure you can't post like pornographic material. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that
I
would be
would,
obscene.
if I were to do one for my group, I would probably do probably something TLC,
Right.
because they got a lot of songs about sex and safe sex and.
They made those in like the 90s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was in grade school and they would come out with them. Okay.
But like to even get a flyer, a regular flyer on campus, you got to go through Ms. Boffman
That's what I was wondering.
and get it like approved and stuff. And you have to have every single thing. Like, Blake's doing this event, and she was going to charge tickets to do a show in Rogue.
And she's not allowed?
She's doing the event, but now like they can't sell tickets for it because like on the flyer it just says Robeson and not Paul Robeson, because that's the full name of
Building
the
name.
building. So like even little technicalities like can get the whole event.
That is crazy. So here's
That's why
another.
you get stuff approved before you submit it.
The stuff you wrote in here, that's your like activities plan for the group. That's 3 to 6 paragraphs. Here's theory from your human behavior classes. If you dip back into theories, if it's like human development. And then this is always big. So this is something easy we skip over. It's only 1 paragraph, but terminating group or terminating with a client sometimes is hard, as clients don't want to leave you. They're like, no, I want to see you forever. And it's like, no, you got this. You can be self-supporting. You don't have to see a counselor the rest of your life. Some people choose to, and that's their choice. But it's like, no, the idea is to empower you to empower yourself and to know when to do the right thing. And then how will you evaluate, like if it's effective? Sometimes it's surveys, sometimes it's something in the research. So here, right here it is, 8 to 15 pages. That's probably the longest paper that we have, I feel like. Is there any more than 9 or 10 in Nikita's classes?
I'm not sure. I've only
I don't
done, like,
think so.
five.
I knew of.
So
And you know what? I really feel like I could make something of this. Like if I were to make like a continuous group
yeah.
with this, I
Well,
feel
then
like
you
I would be
add
able to
research
make
into
more.
it. You show where people have done, and I know that there's been groups about how to connect with a partner, how to find your life partner, how to, make it safe. Hello, how are you? So you guys called for everybody to come to class. Look at this. Like out of nowhere, they heard you over the interwebs
That
on
is
YouTube.
crazy.
They both were saying, I'm leading my group next week and I want people to be in the class. And I'm like, you got to just say it on YouTube. And then you guys showed
Wow.
up. That's good. So we were going over, she's going to lead a group next week. That's why she wanted to review it. And then we went over, if you simultaneously write your final paper, you can do that too. Because there's only 3 major assignments in this class. That's it. 3 assignments.
That's not bad.
And get them all done, but they're all big, like you got to observe a mental health group. I feel like you have access to them at your agencies.
I know.
I was totally thinking about that.
Mhm.
And so you get permission to observe that, and then you fill out this sheet that's at the end of the syllabus. The second, that's the first one. Second major assignment is then leading your group, which you have examples of how you guys could lead it on D2L. So you go into announcements to find those. And then the final paper is the third major assignment. And we were showing how you could go to grants.gov and find funding. Like this one had $500,000. You can apply. Lowest you can get is $250,000. Highest you can get is $800,000. And that is for network of sexually transmitted diseases, clinical prevention, training centers, program supplement. And when you include these, it's cool because you could write it for the agency you work at or the place you intern at, or make it something real life. So it's like when I graduate, I can write in a program that would give a salary that's livable and it pays the agency too. What's the average pay at the places you guys are seeing nowadays now too? What's the best and what's the worst?
Like for the jobs that
Yes.
I'm looking at.
Yes.
I've only really looked at some, but I've seen what's it called? A child investigator, 5,000 a month.
How much?
5,000 a month to be a child care investigator.
So 60,000. 60,000. Okay.
Which I feel like is not bad for me to just be starting out.
Well, that would be amazing. So that just requires a BSW,
Yep.
not even
And
an
with my
LSW.
and with my license, I think it'll be more.
There's always more with the license.
I think it said 5,500, and that's probably with the license. But like without the license, I think it's like
So that would be
4,000.
60,000 without a license, 66,000 a year with a license. Sounds good to me. It's more than we make. So, any questions?
Good. I probably got questions like closer to it. I already know what I need to do for the first thing.
Okay.
I'm charging the computer, that's all.
Oh yeah, you got to. Do you have to charge it again?
Have you ever worked in like macro social work, or have you ever been interested in macro social work?
Yes. I do think funding, you would have to fill out something like this for funding of it. Because it does seem like big legislative type of opportunities. Because I've always been at like the grassroots and you're like volunteering, protesting, you're like getting out there in the protests and like saying like we should have equal pay or we should have this. And that's how it starts. And you find funding that they'll push through with the bill. And that's my only experience with them. I don't know if that answers the question.
You do.
Mental health seems to have the most funding, but also not the best pay, which is weird.
Should have the most fun.
Yeah.
Should have best pay.
Yeah. It's always like right there on the cusp, like just enough money to be sustainable.
I'm still trying to find a graduate program that has trauma social work.
NKU should.
North Kentucky.
Yeah, because they had $1 million grant to teach trauma-informed care and have a trauma specialty. Now, maybe that grant ran out and they no longer have it, but they had some good TIC classes, and you got certified in TIC. Probably be your internship that would be even bigger.
Because I'm still trying to work for the VA if I can.
And they say trauma certificate would help.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But Miss Nikita also said, yes, she basically said I would have to have my master's to be able to work at the VA.
Okay. I wanted to see if she said if we get there early, can we look at it? Yes. What day are you leading the groups? I'll request off. And I said Wednesday. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday
On the
the 15th next week. Okay. So yeah, that's your rounds of groups there.
I'm so excited.
I feel like everybody is.
So if I were to do like a Kahoot, would you want me to send you the link to the Kahoot so you can pull it up on your computer?
Yes. Or if you have one of these, you can plug right into your computer.
I'm gonna just send it to
I
you.
know. Well, that's okay. I know that we all have. And then I'll
And
do.
the good thing about Kahoots is there are mostly some that are already made.
That's
on
true.
different
Yeah.
groups.
I didn't even think about that. So it was in announcements that gave you all some of the examples for the relationships with peers. So that was one. And I'm not going to do the PowerPoint today just because we only have like 12 to 15 minutes left, but I'm going to do week 7 PowerPoint out so you can take a look on your own. What other questions would you guys have for observing a group, leading a group, or writing about creating your group with like a grant like this? You know, I always like to make it real. This is real stuff you can apply for. The grant we did at Lighthouse was called the Street Outreach Program. If I still have it in here. And they gave us $1 million to end homelessness by 2020. I don't think we ended homelessness by 2020, but like it funded a lot of positions to end homelessness. You know what I mean? Like, there it is. They had me edit that. You get to see how long your grant has to be to submit it. There's your 78-page papers. You're always like, well, how long do the papers have to be? It's as long as you need to get your point across.
Sheesh.
And whenever you apply for a grant, it'll look like this. Your objectives, your outcomes, there's a need for assistance. You put the stats in. There were the homeless stats in Cincinnati those years. More homeless stats, homeless teams. Some of it did have to do with sex. So like referring back to sex or maybe even how they identified, but the identified target were like runaways, homeless, street youth. Sometimes they would go under the bridge. So they would just like bring them sandwiches and like get them to feel safe and trust them. Not like they're going to like trap them or anything, but like, look, you could come here for services. If you want to have shelter, you can come to Lighthouse. No judgment. You know, there are some rules, but no like requirements besides following like simple humanity rules. And so when we applied for the grant, you have to detail all of it. Like these are all the places that provide homeless services in the city of Cincinnati, including OTR community housing. I wonder, oh, they do have every website on there. Hey, that's kind of cool. So, and then we just spoke about the need for social workers and then what we would do with some of that group and the folks served. And you fall asleep reading this, but that's how you like kind of do get funded for your positions. They even included like their T-shirt, so they would all wear the same thing, so you would know like, all right, that's a lighthouse worker. I can trust him. He's not a cop, even though he looks like a cop. He might not be a cop. They got the minivan, and where they like would bring him food and water. They had some billboards. They included that in the grant. I remember seeing these all over Cincinnati. And there was another one. And so just everything you would do to run your program, you include in that. We did another one for horticulture therapy. Oh yeah, they had some TV segments, like when you age out of the foster services at 18 and where you can go or could go. Some of the camps they closed in Cincinnati, so they just like included everything in here. And then after that, the services they would provide, and then like how much it would cost, which was, to me, the interesting part, like looking up how much you would get paid, how much they paid back then. We had a homeless shelter for 13 to 18-year-olds and then 19 to 24-year-olds.
This is exactly why we take research methods.
Yes. Yeah, to learn how to write this and detail it in, and then like convince people like, all right, now I need $195,000. And they're like, okay, fine. You know,
That makes sense. Everything's coming together.
which really in the government, they just print that money off. You know, they're like,
Right.
that's what's creepy about it. That's what's causing inflation. But that's, you know, they have unlimited funding for these. Let's see what you could have made if you were a program manager here. Here are all the places. Yeah, they would do parenting classes. They did case management. These guys did detox, CCAT, Cincinnati Community Addictions Treatment. We've got some substance abuse counseling and methadone tapering. Actually, now they would use Suboxone. You can overdose on this crap. But back then, they still used it. And they still do use it. But Suboxone, you can't overdose on. So those are all the services provided in Cincinnati that would relate to like getting sober, getting off drugs, helping to become housed. And then I always try to find where the salaries are. And of course, it's not going to be easy. Let's just cruise until I see some numbers. Then this gives like the whole history of Lighthouse, which they are in Dayton. That's like on part of your paper too. It'll ask for like a profile of like what they do. They offer decades of successful experience serving runaway homeless and street youth. That was just one of their programs. It started like 30 years ago. So they give the whole history of how they started. If you're going to start your own business, you could include that narrative. They had me help edit this. I hate editing so much. But it has to look good or else you don't get your money. Like if you're making up a load of BS, nobody's going to fund your programs. So if you do it well and show that there's like, what do they call that where it's like, did you take research already? Like a proven winner, like a proven method of doing things. So this would be the program manager. That guy's the vice president of children, youth, and families. Then under him, he had a bachelor's person. She probably did therapy. You usually need a master's for therapy. And then some of the like case managers, she has a BS and a BA. And that, yeah, here how they evaluate it. So that's like the last part of your paper. Evaluation plans. Lighthouse requires a formal annual written evaluation of each staff member by the supervisor, provides participation in the evaluation. So they talk to you. It's necessary to appraise whether the staff meets the performance requirement and the standards of the agency. Stuff that you can read enough and you'll fall asleep, but this is kind of how it's done. I was going to say, if we had the whole class show up. So that would be, that's your stuff. They probably kept. Yeah, and then you guys ever work or you had orientation before?
Yeah.
They pay you for it.
Mm-hmm.
But here you go, trauma-informed approaches. We did have to do 6 hours to work there and get trauma certified, harm reduction, positive youth development, cultural competency, motivational interviewing. So these are all the different hours. You get CPR, That's like your first 2 to 3 weeks of work. They're just paying you to get trained, which is cool. But there you go. There's your budget. Year one, director gets $56,493. Is that enough? This is 2015. I think in 2015 that was good.
Yeah, I was about to say 2015 it probably was.
He
But-
might be going up. I need more.
And only a quarter of his job was given to this street outreach. So it says full-time equivalent 0.25. So he got 14 each year to be street outreach director. Then assistant director had 47,000 a year. They also did a quarter of their time, 11,000 for 3 years in a row. The data person, the street outreach worker, here you go. You get 31,000 a year. It's probably a bachelor's. And then, the nurse, the RN only got 42,000. So you know this is some 7-year-old data because nurses get paid way more than 42,000, I think. So that's what they were asking for. That's how they justified it. Then they also have to pay your fringe benefits. So you pay tax on FICA and Medicare, health and dental insurance, then your pension. I didn't know Lighthouse had a pension. Really? They got rid of it. Everybody got rid of a pension because it's just like
What is pension?
where you retire after 30 years and then you get paid the rest of your life no matter how long you live. You just keep getting 2/3 of your salary or something.
That sounds good.
I know, right? But that's why they're all getting rid of them is like people are, I don't know how to explain it. We barely still have one here. Oh yeah, you got supplies, program supplies, travel, mileage. Oh, they put 0 in. Contractual. They even have other rent. If they rent a building for the homeless outreach, vehicles, and insurance on the vehicle, indirect charges. So total, I guess it was like they're asking for 600,000. So that's, if you create a group or create a program and you write it up, this is like how you justify it and get paid. And they had me edit this. I also did one that was related to like horticulture therapy. But we'll go over that one the next day. Any other, oh, there it is. Great. This was another grant I helped to write for horticulture therapy. We're trying to do one here on Central State. So we're going to use pieces of this. But again, we're breaking down how we would do the like community food security, relationships in the community, history. This was a grant for refugees. And then like all the programs and supplies and money we would need each quarter is like 3 months for 12 quarters. So it covers like 2 to 3 years. And then what you would teach them, like a refugee farmer would get 1,200 in shares of proceeds and 800 in fresh fruit and produce. So they get like 2,000 a month. So you see how detailed some of this stuff could be. It's crazy. But that way, yeah, again, here's the history of the organization. So if you were to do it at Central State, you could write like the history of Central State University. It's a historically black college that was started in 1897. Am I saying that right?
1886. 87.
1887. That sounds
Yeah.
right. Okay. It's the 1890 land grant. Let me get all the
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're writing a grant for 600,000 for the 1890 land grant to do horticulture therapy.
Oh my God, that sounds cool.
That's what we're hoping. They may or may not. They might be like, whatever, you didn't justify it well enough. You didn't-
And that's the thing, we're at agricultural school, so we should have some.
Well, that's why we're doing it. So me, Dr. Hunt, and the agriculture people are all writing it together.
I hope I get it.
Well, right. And you got to write up your history. This one was through Catholic Charities. And then evidence of their effectiveness, description of the population, we were working with refugees. Oh, this is what they had me come up with. I can tell by the see how it's all like a 2-year-old wrote it.
I am weak.
Counselor part-time, 20 hours a week, $15 per hour. So that was also in 2009. So that was okay pay in 2009 for like a bachelor social work. Social work supervisor, that's pretty low too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why are they getting paid?
They give me 25 an hour
Yeah.
now, and that's way low still.
Yeah.
I get 25 an hour for super, but I've always taken low money to try to give back. And then assistant farmhand, $7.55 an hour. That must have been minimum wage back then. Benefits, and then all the plants you had to buy, like blueberry bushes and tomato plants and fruit trees, manure. So yeah, however you write up, whatever you need for your group, those are the things. This is what I would need for a horticulture therapy group. So I had
Oh
to
my
take-
God, that is perfect for me. I love gardening.
Isn't that cool? I thought it was cool. So
If y'all need an intern, I'll do it for my field
do it
placement.
for Dr. Hunt, right? That's what I'm
I
saying.
will
Do it for Dr.
my
Hunt.
field placement.
I should just send this through the announcements to you guys.
And that's what I was thinking about. Like after I graduate and like when I get into the field and stuff, I still want to take like different classes because I am interested in agriculture and like gardening and stuff and farming. I do want to take some classes on stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I have a friend who works at my summer camp and she's like the garden instructor for our camp and she's in school for it right now. And I just be looking at all the stuff that she's doing in school and I'm just like, she really applies all of that stuff. Like she teaches the kids how to use different stuff,
Okay.
how to use essential oils and how to use stuff in nature for different things.
Mint.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
That is cool. It lets me say, okay, this is like the way I wrote up my horticulture therapy
Mhm.
group and a grant we were applying for. It was $100,000. So it's sent to you guys. So you can steal all that. You can cite me if you want to. You don't have to. You can act like you made it all up yourself.
And you know what? I'm in a running for this position at my summer camp to be like the middle school coordinator. So I have some reign to see like what type of stuff that they'll be doing, and we do have